Alright folks, so this is right here. All it is two small birch and a 2x4, and it's not nailed on there, it's just held on by a string, like a clothesline string. And I've got 2 spikes there and 1 kill cone. I got another kill cone too. These kill cones, this one here is screwed on, not gonna go anywhere. But I made this kill cone here. It was a new bucket, but it's a scrap bucket. And so I make my own kill cones here. And what I do is I have another bucket that the handle just rests right here, and it just hangs here. Now what I usually do is, because I don't waste anything here folks, okay? So I have a kill cone here and a kill cone here. Now the kill cone that goes here I think I made out of a Home Depot bucket. When I told you all that it was a Home Depot bucket, I apologize. It was a Harbor Freight bucket. Just a standard bucket. Now this right here was made specifically for my ducks, and this is a 4-inch opening down here. And I will be making some more of these this summer, so I'll bring you along when I do that. And what I do, and everything's gonna seem backwards now because it's just what it is. Hope you can piece it together. So see, I have that kill cone there. And what I do is hang it on those spikes, and then do that. So it's not going to go backwards, and you know that point right there is on the back side of the 2x4. It just works well. And then I have a bucket down there underneath this one, and I always have another bucket under this one. They both have 3 or 4 inches of water in it. So when you put the bird in here and you do your thing, right, and they're bleeding out, it goes into the bucket of water. It works so much better for me. And this one here was just an extra spare bucket kicking around. And so when I process the birds, I put the birds, well, I'll show you. Put the birds in upside down so the feet are sticking up. And when the bird is upside down, it kind of goes into like this Zen mode. It kind of calms and relaxes, and you can watch the head kind of relax, and the neck will stretch out, and they've basically gone to sleep, folks. Okay? So, and I do put a bucket underneath to catch the blood. Okay? Blood meal is nothing but dried blood. So that blood can go right into when I make my compost out of sawdust. Now I would caution you. What I do is put water in that bucket, probably 3 or 4 inches of water. So when the bird is bleeding out, it'll go in there, and it's just easy to clean the bucket because the blood dries fairly fast. So what I usually do is, found some ice. What I usually do is do one bird in, and while that is bleeding out, I go and get another one. Depends on, how many I'm doing that day, but that's usually how I do that. So I am going to go over to my processing bench. So my processing bench is also something that I made. And see, I use grain bags. And this bench is nothing but like a workbench. And it's also where I process my fish that I get. Okay? Now you are probably wondering what this is for here. Now I put a hole the size of a bucket that would fit down in there. So when I'm doing my birds, I'm gutting them out, right? I'm cleaning them out, or my fish. take the head off the fish or whatever, and it's down here. So all I have to do is scrape it down into there, and it goes into a bucket. And this right here is just a bucket lid, so it just goes in there and doesn't end up over here in the corner. It just kind of goes in there and slides down. It's worked very well. So this also has a place where I set my knives and whatever I use at the time. There's a hatchet that I keep here, and I know, guys, I know it's my processing hatchet. And when I did my turkeys in, they were just too big for the kill cone, so I did it the old-fashioned way on a stump, right? So now this old sink here was given to me by my sister, and what I do is after I do that over there at the cone station, I bring them over here, and I have stumps here. This is my turkey stump, right? My turkey stump on my really big duck stumps. It is what it is, folks, okay? It just is what it is. So what I do is and that's frozen down right now, but I lift this. Maybe it's not. Yeah, it's frozen. So what I do is lift this so the lip here sits on the stump, okay? So, and then I put a bucket underneath for the drainage. So when I process a bird, I put them in. Of course, this will be clean, right? Clean and sterilized. I'll put them in there, and anything that's going to drip goes into a bucket. Because I hose them off, right? I hose them off, so I don't want them to sit in water. So I put them right in there, and they drip. Now, if it is hot, folks, if it is a hot day, I place this so I'm gonna get shade above, but in the morning, I'm gonna get the sun that's coming in. But the sun is not going to be hot in the morning, okay? But when it's hot, when I do birds, I just have a cooler, and I go down to the store and get some cube ice, and I put it in there so I can cool the birds off quickly. So that's what that sink is for. And so, you know, the bench is just a basic bench. Just a basic bench. It's sturdy. It's held up. I made it the size I wanted it, and I made it the height that I wanted it. And you're probably going to wonder what that right there is. That right there is if I'm doing it after dark and I've got a headlamp on, I have that. But if I don't, I just have a solar bulb that I just hang from there, and it kind of shines down. But I've also attached my cell phone to that, so I can record down here as I am processing a bird. A lot of folks want to know how to process a duck, a chicken, a guinea, and all of that. So I just do a demonstration video for them, and they get to do their own birds. So that's that, folks. That's that. So those stumps have a purpose. One is hollow. Now, if I am doing a lot of birds at once, and I've got one in each kill cone, and I've decided to do maybe a third one, this is an old popple log, and it was cut for firewood, but then it just got too wet, so I'm like, well, I could use it as a planter or something. And then I decided, well, you know, I can take the bird and just like in the kill cone, put it upside down so the feet is sticking up, so the blood is going to drain down. The only problem with that, I have no catch pan for the blood. So I try to stick with two birds at once and an empty catch bucket underneath. So that's what I do. That's what I do. It may be redneck. It may be. But it gets the job done.